Perfection is a goal for many students, but how do we actually get there? Now, obviously, learning the skills and practicing the skills is something that I've preached for a while, but how do you get from that overall mastery, those high 700s, high, like mid 750, that range? How do you go from good, like a really good score, to getting that perfect score, right? And it's the shortest score increase out of every section of learning that you do for the SAT. It's the shortest increase, but it's the most amount of effort. It really takes so much out of you to get there. And it took me months to do. But I think if you learn these strategies and you actually apply them, you could do what took me months and it could take you weeks. All right. So I'm Karthik, and this is what it takes to score a perfect 800 in math. All right. Getting to mastery, right? Before that, if you haven't gotten to that high point where you know every single skill, you've practiced every single skill, you've done that for a long period of time, and you've maxed out, you've taken multiple practice tests, you've ran out of practice tests to take, this video isn't for you if you're not there, right? But mastery, if you are there, right? Mastery is a saturation level of practice, meaning that you've saturated practice so hard and so highly and done so much of it on a regular schedule and actually actively done it, right? Instead of just passively doing it and grading yourself and not thinking too much about it, you've gone through every single question rigorously and really squeezed as much, hypothetical juice out of a question as you could, right? You've reached your final potential in almost every single skill. It's just a matter of getting to that highest point, right? And if you're not at the complete highest point where you still think you could squeeze a bunch out of like certain questions, you're still in mastery. You just need to do that, right? Set up a habit to get to that level. Set up this habit of practicing constantly and getting accountability for that habit. You really need to get a level of accountability, and you need to be able to get your habit to that level. And on top of that, this isn't really written, but you need to get proper advice, right? You need to get, if you're getting an answer correct, right, and you're like looking at it and trying to figure out why you got it wrong, you need to understand how to do it in the most efficient way. So look online for advice, look online for specific help, watch practice problems, like even this video is a form of advice. Consult people with more experience than yourself, right? Have someone keep you accountable, but it's also great if that person or, whoever you're appealing to or someone that has experience in this level, and you can ask them questions. Like teachers at school are going to be extremely useful for this. All right. Careless mistakes. This is the biggest enemy of higher range scorers, right? People who often score in this range get careless mistakes. And the number one thing I see is just like, oh, it's just a careless mistake. I'm just going to not do it next time, right? But how? How are you not going to do it next time? What is going to make you not do it next time? What are you doing now that's going to prevent it from happening in the future? And when we get a problem wrong, we do think like that, right? We're like, oh, how can I make sure to not miss this? I'm going to do this next time, right? But for careless mistakes, we often brush it off and just say, I'm going to read the problem more carefully next time. I'm just going to actually read the problem. That's why I got it wrong. But wasn't that what you were already supposed to do and what you were planning to do, right? So think about this, right? When was the last time you made a careless mistake adding 2 plus 2, right? And chances are you probably can't even remember the last time. The last time was probably when you were learning how to do addition. So specifically, why is that? We've practiced it so much over the years that it's become ingrained, and we are able to display the answer just like that. We're able to just spit out the answer, right? And it's always accurate all the time. So the real issue of careless mistakes isn't that you aren't doing something specific, it's practice. You need to practice that skill even harder than everything else because you're still making real mistakes. So stop disregarding careless mistakes. Stop blaming it on something that's out of your control or, tiredness or not reading the problem. And understand that if you had gotten a mastery of that problem where those problems felt easy to you, you wouldn't make this careless mistake. And it shouldn't be something that you just glance over and not care about. Take accountability for it, admit the mistake, and create a strategy so that you won't make that mistake again, and practice using that strategy and make sure that it works and run through a bunch of problems. And I guarantee you the rate at which you make careless mistakes is going to drastically drop. And if you do even more practice and you really squeeze it out, you can get that number to 0. Okay. Actively engage with every mistake. One thing that I notice that people in this mastery stage do is they take the problems, figure out the ones that they get wrong, go through it very loosely and then just move on. This is a huge mistake because you're not squeezing as much as you can get from every mistake. Your mistakes, when you're in mastery actually become extremely valuable, right? And the reason why your mistakes are valuable because they tell you exactly what you have to do, and they give you an opportunity to practice it all in one just by making a mistake. So an authentic mistake is so valuable for you right now. It's what you should be focusing all your effort on not doing, right? But also at the same time, when it does happen, you focus your effort on making sure it doesn't happen in the future, right? So here's what you're going to do every time you make a mistake, you grade it, right? You're going to realize that you lack some sort of understanding, and that's the reason for the mistake, right? So you either need to learn why that happened, right? And learn the skill that will prevent that from happening, or you need to practice doing a certain strategy because the certain strategy that you practice, you're either not that good at, or it's not a good strategy for how you operate on the math test, or you're in the process of doing that and you need to get better at the strategy itself by doing more problems, right? And if you don't have a strategy, right, and it's just a learning mistake, you need to build a strategy that's custom to you, right? And there's no helping you do this. Just think of something that would help you not make the mistake next time and apply that and make sure it works, right? Understand why you made every single mistake through that learning framework and how you can improve for next time. That's the most important part of this. And I know that might seem easy, but I want you to actually try and resolve it and make sure you get the right answer, and then try to find shortcuts to get to that point, and then cut over the things that you make mistakes on so you don't have to do them, or, anything like that, right? Create that strategy so your mistake never happens again. Practice it a bunch. That's how you get to mastery. Okay. I'm going to end this kind of concept, right? By, getting a perfect is definitely possible. I got a perfect score in math, but it's so hard to get there, right? You need to consider within your time frame. If all you care, you should be caring not about your individual section scores, but it's just about how high your score is overall. So if you have a 600 in English and a 780 in math and you're looking to get a perfect in math, is that really a good use of your time, right? You could increase your score more efficiently by focusing on a weaker section, right? But that being said, right, all you care about is a higher score in your specific section. Here's like the basic framework that you have to apply to make all this work. Stop focusing on time as a constraint and more of something that you need to maximize, right? You might think like, I'm just going to do 1 hour a day and expect this X result. But if your SAT is coming up soon, which if you're watching this video, it probably is, you need to maximize your time. You need to do as much as possible. Do more in this 1 week, right? Like the next week, starting right now until next week at the same time, same day. Do more in that 1 week than you think the average person on the SAT does in 1 month of preparation. That's the attitude you need to have, because it is a competition and you are fighting against someone else, right? If you want to get that top 1% score, that 800, right, you need to be doing more than everybody else. All right. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you learned something today.